Hello everyone, I'm Lucas. Today our topic is LSI record configuration introduction. We know that in a server, various I/O cards are used, such as network cards, optical, fiber storage cards, or InfiniBand cards, or array cards, and so on. For a mainstream server, the array card is definitely a standard. In order to achieve excellent node storage, I/O performance, and data security, our HPC server products introduced the industry-known LSI record into optional components such as master age configuration method. This is the LSI array configuration page. For simple configuration, you can directly select the array level of the virtual drive, and you can directly save it after selecting the available hard disks. It is relatively simple and easy to operate, but today we want to study the specific meaning and the function of each option in this process together. These functions and options will make the array configuration more flexible and full targeted. Let's take the RAID 5 as an example. After selecting the RAID level as RAID 5, the first option is select drives from. This option refers to the source of the space used by the virtual drive we are currently creating. There are two situations for this source. One is a hard disk that is not configured as a member of the virtual drive, that is unconfigured capacity. The other is the remaining space of the hard disk that has been configured as a member of the virtual drive, that is free capacity. Therefore, when we select unconfigured capacity, the option below is select drives. And when we select free capacity, the option below will automatically change to select drive groups. After selecting the space source of the virtual drive, let's pay attention to the property of the virtual drive. The first one is the name of virtual drive. In the test, we use test as the name. In fact, we need to pay attention to the note that do not use the special characters as the name of the RAID. Next is the capacity configuration of the currently creating virtual drive. By default, it is the maximum capacity of the current selected hard disk. We can change it according to the actual situation. The remaining capacity of the change can be used to configure other virtual drives. The option is implemented by the option free capacity mentioned above. Strip size is the strip size of the array, which needs to be configured according to actual business and hardware conditions. And the read policy refers to the current read policy of virtual drive. The option read ahead means to enable the pre-reading strategy, and the other option, no read ahead, means not to enable the pre-reading strategy. If most of the reading of the application business is continuous, it can be foreknown in advance. It is recommended to enable the pre-reading strategy, otherwise it should be closed. There are three options in the write strategy: write through, write back, always write back. Write through direct. This is a direct write mode, which means that the array card writes the requested data directly to the hard disk without accelerating by the cache. Write back means that the array card uses the cache to improve the write performance. If the cache battery is not in place or fails for data security, it will automatically change the mode to write through. If there is an additional data protection mechanism in the actual environment, we can choose the always write back mode. That is, regardless of the cache battery status All write actions are cached to improve the performance. In read-back mode, data is written to the hard disk via cache. In this way, the upper-layer application can perform subsequent work immediately after the data is written to the cache, without waiting for the data to be written to the hard disk. Cache use uh, electrical signal for data recording, which is much faster than hard disk, which use magnetic signal to record data. Therefore, this improves the write performance. In the subsequent process, a record will complete the work of writing data from cache to the hard disk. When the data in the cache cannot be written to the hard disk, we need to consider data security. If there is power loss, how can the data in cache not be affected? We added a battery to the cache, which can protect the data in cache in the event of a sudden power failure. Next is caching I/O strategy. There are two options here: direct and cached. Direct means the cache will not keep the data in the cache. Cached means that the previous cached data will be retained if there are a subsequent request for the same data block. They will be read from the cache instead of the hard disk. But in most cases, the application or system never will have its own caching mechanism, so the default option is direct. Access policy is a protection policy for virtual drive. In most cases, we create virtual drive for reading and writing, so the default option is read or write. However, in some special cases, we need to use read-only or blocked to realize the read-only in the data hiding of virtual drive data. The cache of the physical hard disk itself can also be configured. The three options under drive cache are unchanged, enable, and disable. Unchanged, this is the default mode without changing the hard drives on firmware settings. Enable mode, turn on the physical hard disk cache function. Disable, which means turn off the physical hard disk cache. We need to pay attention to the cache of the physical hard disk is not protected by a battery, so the data is at risk of loss. Next, we found that there are two options for initialization. The Z refers to the implementation of virtual drive initialization and stripping. It is recommended to keep the default configuration in this way. After a virtual drive is created, it will be initialized in the background so that it will not affect our subsequent system installation and other options. The next option is emulation type. This option refers to how virtual drive reports its sector value to the operating system. In practical applications, this value depends on the attributes of the physical hard disk and its configuration items of simulation type. The actual effect should be evaluated in combination with application software and the database. After watching the introduction above, we have learned about the uh, options and function of the LSI and record when configuring the virtual drive. The space source of the virtual drive and its capacity and the name and the virtual drive read and write strategy and access rules. For the LSI record, we have a preliminary impression today. It has more configurations and functions for us to learn slowly. Thanks for watching. See you next time.